It's no secret that football has become a money sport. It has been for a long time now, but it seems as though the game is starting to reach a turning point where only the insanely wealthy clubs can succeed. The early signs started to show when some of the world's most powerful football clubs banded together with a proposal for a European Super League. Fortunately, the voices of millions of fans around the world were powerful enough to stop it in its tracks. Despite fans fighting for the integrity of the game, it's only a matter of time before the world's richest clubs try to get a bigger piece of the pie. Billionaire owners have ruined football, and I'm going to tell you why. Killing competition. There are always winners and losers in sport. That's the nature of the game. When the season comes to a close, only one team can lift the league title. For many years, Manchester United dominated the Premier League. Arsenal, Liverpool and Chelsea have had their turns too, and now Manchester City are the ones in control. With the exception of one memorable season from Leicester City, the title has remained out of the reach of the rest of the league, and billionaire money will likely make sure that it stays that way. Manchester City's wealth has made them almost untouchable on the pitch, leaving everyone else to scrap over European qualification and mid-table mediocrity. Their control of the Premier League will only be threatened by a club with more wealth. Ultimately, the sport has become a contest of which owner has the deepest pockets. The playing field has never been more uneven, and the least wealthy clubs are at risk of being left behind. There is one clear advantage that's helping the billionaire-owned clubs to retain control: transfer market dominance. For years, Manchester City have thrown astronomical funds at the transfer market, and to great effect. Chelsea have also been able to spend insane sums that most clubs have been unable to keep up with. It came as no surprise to the footballing world when Manchester City bought Erling Haaland out of his contract at Borussia Dortmund in the summer, and their addition of the world's best striker has helped them to retain their dominance. Clubs that are lower down the league have no chance of competing with the money being thrown around by billionaire owners. Teams like Brighton have been working tirelessly for years to build a clever strategy in the transfer market. They're consistently finding incredible talent from across the world, but their progress always comes to a stop when the big clubs come calling. The same can be said for other clubs too. Manchester City swiped Jack Grealish away from Aston Villa for a record fee without blinking. The following summer, they signed Calvin Phillips, who was arguably the best player at Leeds United, just to give them an option from the bench. Clubs with less money at their disposal are constantly losing their best players to the Premier League elites, and they simply cannot match the spending power of clubs like Man City, Chelsea, and now Newcastle. Unfortunately, it's not just the football clubs that benefit from billionaire owners. The insane wealth on show has given them one frustrating advantage: control of league regulation. If the last few seasons are anything to go by, having a billionaire owner also puts wealthy clubs above the rules of the league. The clubs involved with the European Super League were given a slap on the wrist for their part in the proposal, while Manchester City have managed to dodge the punishment for alleged rule breaks relating to their transfer market activity. There was huge controversy surrounding the recent Saudi lead takeover of Newcastle United, and yet the buyout was still able to go through. The message has been sent to the rest of the league that footballing bodies value money above all else, ruining the experience for the average match-going fan in return. Corruption has become a recognizable feature of football, and it's the wealthiest clubs that continue to benefit. The introduction of financial fair play has done more damage to the clubs at the lower end of the league than it has to the huge spenders, which raises questions as to why it exists in the first place. Unfortunately, clubs without a bottomless pit of money at their disposal will forever be at a disadvantage because the current rules make sure of it. It's not just the clubs at the lower end of the Premier League that are suffering too. Billionaire-owned clubs are making an impact on the rest of the footballing pyramid, cutting off the Football League. The wealth gap between the Premier League and the rest of English football is making it increasingly difficult for lower clubs to make a stamp on the league. Championship clubs have to rely on promotion funds alone if they manage to break into the division, and the coming years will make it harder and harder for them to retain their place. Each year, a Premier League club appears to be bought out by billionaire owners, and sooner or later, it will be impossible for new clubs to compete with the insane levels of wealth. Football is quickly becoming a pay-to-win sport that will cut the rest of the football pyramid loose. Ultimately, billionaire owners are in control of the future of football. Todd Boehly is already proposing rule changes, and the richest clubs have made no secret that they want a bigger slice of Premier League revenue. If football continues to allow some of the wealthiest people in the world to control the future of the sport, then it's only going to get much worse.